On Wednesday, March 11, I successfully defended my dissertation, and I am now Dr. Kamika Ruth Taylor.
Hi, I'm Henika Watkins, Porter speaker, coach, author of Podcast Power, inviting you to listen to the Authorpreneur Secrets podcast, brought to you by C. Ruth Taylor, best-selling indie author and the Caribbean's most trusted voice on entrepreneurship. Get ready to dominate entrepreneurship.
It's episode 206 of the Authorpreneur Secrets podcast, and this is a celebratory episode. It has come a lot faster than I thought it would be. So, on this episode, I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my dissertation and the findings from my dissertation because on Wednesday, March 11, I successfully defended my dissertation, and I am now Dr. Kamika Ruth Taylor. Can you believe it? Oh my goodness. It has been a long journey. And so, my upcoming book, From Calling to Completion, captures the journey and why it took so long. The subtitle of that book is Leadership and Life Lessons from a 12-Year Doctoral Journey. And I'm sure you're like, 12 years? Have you been studying for 12 years? Not exactly, but as you stick around, you will learn more. I'm going to be sharing chapter 1 from that upcoming book, which is currently on pre-order on Amazon. I am going to be sharing a little bit of the findings. And I've been announcing that I wanted to complete the doctorate in time for my birthday on May 9. Well, it has happened way before May 9, but I will be having a celebration from calling to completion on May 9, and then graduation will be the first Saturday in June. That's June 6th. So stay tuned for the details.
Your book is the perfect spark to get the fire going in your personal life, career, business, or ministry. Light that book spark today.
All right. Wow. How do I feel? I think it is finally beginning to sink in. At first, I was in a daze. I didn't have much of a reaction. And I've been trying to process what this means. Although the writing of this book, From Calling to Completion, helped me to figure that out. I was able to look back and connect the dots, as I think it's Steve Jobs that said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. And I wrote a poem, two poems actually. The book begins with a poem, From Calling to Completion, and it ends in one called tetelestai, which is the Greek word which means it is finished. And so I am going to be sharing now the poem, which is a celebration of the completion and gives meaning to the journey. And it will serve as encouragement for you if you've been taking a while to achieve a particular goal and you feel like giving up. All right, so let's get to it. Tetelestai, from calling to completion. After 12 long years, Dr. Kamika Taylor, they said. When the pronouncement was made, tears came to my eyes. I did not shout, just the swelling of my lacrimal glands. Stunned, silenced, grateful. Notes of praise to God rang out from my mom. Others were tearful. Notes of congratulations rang out, joyful and proud. Tetelestai. It is finished. From calling to completion. Calling is beautiful in its beginning. It feels prophetic, powerful, full of promise. But calling without formation remains potential. After the calling came the chiseling. Baki Graduate University was God's chisel, cutting and carving stone into a masterpiece fit for the master's use. It took more than a decade, but eventually the work was completed. Completion is not arrival at a platform. Completion is authorization for the next phase. Completion is stewardship of everything the process produced in you. Now you know my story. Now you must confront your own. Where have you mistaken refinement for rejection? Where have you considered quitting when God was recalibrating you? Do not resign when you need to refine. Do not abandon what only needs adjustment. Do not confuse delay with denial. Struggle if you must, but emerge. Completion is not speed. It is faithfulness. It is staying when quitting would be easier. It is refining when abandoning feels justified. It is surrendering timelines while holding tightly to purpose. Completion is not about applause or arrival. It is about alignment. When calling, character, competence, and courage converge, a life becomes complete. Now the journey is yours. Where are you in the process? At the calling, in the breaking, on the refinement, on the verge of emergence? Do not waste your struggle. Struggle if you must, but finish what you started. From calling to completion, I struggled and I emerged. Lucta et emergo. And so the ending of that poem, which captures my journey and celebrates the moment, has Greek, English, and Latin. Only Spanish is missing. So lucta et emergo is the Latin for I struggle and I emerge. And that was a phrase given to me by a member of my personal learning committee during the most difficult part of this doctoral journey in October 2024, when I really wanted to walk away. And so the question is, why did it take so long? But let's put all of that into perspective. The timeline chart here. So when I go into my student profile, it says Doctor of Transformational Leadership, status pursuing as of April 19, 2015. Catalog year 2018 to 2019. Anticipated completion June 6, 2026. Concentration, cultural transformation. So in 2014, I was looking at a letter that I was writing to Caribbean Graduate School of Theology, which was offering this program in partnership with Bakke Graduate University. And I had made a scholarship proposal to them to fund my doctoral degree. And that was in March 2014. Prior to that, I was exploring studying overseas and migrating, going to either Fuller or Trinity. My first course was January 2019, second course April 2020. So you're even seeing in between that, that's a long time. And a course is usually over 3 months. And in 2021, I paused completely. That was during COVID. So I did the course April 2020, and then I didn't do anything again until October 2022. I did the third course. Then I took a break, and then April 2023, I did the fourth course. July 2023, the fifth course. Then I took a break again. April 2024, the sixth course. And July 2024, the seventh course. And then a long pause because I kept having to do over my dissertation project proposal. So next time was July 2025. And then work continued. I did the ninth course, October 2025. And these were the dissertation phases. And then January 2026 to now is the final course. So as you can see, there were years and months of pauses in between. So it's more than 6 years. And so what was it that was happening that caused these starts and stops? So you heard there was heartbreak, there were financial issues, and sometimes when the course was offered, and sometimes there were emotional issues, sometimes illness was a factor as well, and some things just out of my control. Like I was stuck and had to redo my dissertation proposal about 3 times. And it took me 9 months working on that before I could go forward. And that was the hardest part of the journey. So in chapter 1 of From Calling to Completion, I shared what was happening in 2014 to 2018, the 4 years that I deferred. So God accepted and stopped. So in terms of acceptance at the school, my journey at the school, April 2015 to now would be 11 years. And so the calling was in 2024 when I began investigating the school, applying and seeking scholarship. So that's the journey. So I'm not measuring the journey from acceptance to completion because that's not how we measure a journey. Athletes prepare 4 years to go to the Olympics. Hence, from calling, the desire to do it, and taking steps towards it to completion is 12 years. And 12 is a significant number. It represents governance, it represents completion, it represents order. And this perhaps is maybe a strange way to celebrate, to announce it. Like I said, I'm still processing it. And before I read chapter 1, this thing is real. I keep having to pinch myself. Is this real? I know it's real because of what was said in a room full of witnesses, and because I've been invited to share my dissertation, and the school is going to celebrate with me on March 21 in a group that we have called Network Up. Now, Network Up, Connecting Opportunities, is a coaching space and a gateway to grant contacts, strategic resources, and the support we need to advance our project development and funding journey. So it's both for graduate and current students and just anyone who wants to learn about funding opportunities, whether for-profit or non-profit. On the 21st, Saturday 21st at 10 a.m. Eastern, they're having a masterclass titled Positioning for Funding, a 90-minute coaching experience. And so whether you're preparing for investor conversations or exploring grant and partnership pathways, the session is designed to strengthen our presentation, sharpen our strategy, and expand our network. And I've been asked to share my findings. It says, we will also celebrate a significant milestone within our community, Ruth Taylor's successful oral review. Ruth will share highlights from her doctoral research and its implications for organizations and businesses. Congratulations once again to Dr. Taylor. Wow. So I'm not dreaming, and it's okay for me to share because I've been told to invite persons to this. And so if you're interested, you can send me an email at ruth@authorpreneursecrets.com and I'll send you the link to come to that session. And so, like I said, I've been processing, and this book, From Calling to Completion, is processing the journey and sharing the lessons learned. So, why the delay and what was God doing, especially in the early stages? Chapter 1 of the book covers this, and I've titled it Redirection and Rebuilding, 2014 to 2018. The timeline for a doctoral degree at Graduate University is normally 2 to 3 years. Yet my journey took more than a decade. The calling, exploration, and preparation for doctoral studies began in 2014, and I was accepted at BGU in April 2015. Yet I did not begin the formal academic work until January 2019. Why the delay? What was God doing? The call to pursue the doctorate came in 2014 after a broken engagement and a decision to leave Jamaica to study overseas. In preparation for that move, I began searching for scholarships to pursue further studies. I explored options for a second master's degree, but felt drawn instead toward a doctorate. I didn't hear a clear instruction at that time to pursue one. I simply felt the desire. I had no clue that God was leading. With that desire, I began preparing for the graduate record examination with Versan Educational Services. It was an expensive and daunting process. I spent over 200,000 Jamaican dollars or 2,000 US at that time. The math classes were overwhelming and I felt frustrated. One day, in the midst of it all, I was praying and reflecting on Psalm 37 when I received a clear direction and promise from God arising out of verse 3. Verse 3 says, trust in the Lord and do good, then you will live safely in the land and prosper. The instruction and promise I received were, live in the land, feed on truth, and I will sustain you. I wondered whether that meant living in Jamaica forever or just for a season. I still wonder. And it has been 12 years since that instruction and promise. It was not an audible voice, but a very clear direction in my mind that seemed to come out of nowhere. With that promise, I halted my migration plans and began searching for a doctoral program that would not require the GRE and could be done online. That's when I found Graduate University. They had a partnership with my graduate school, the Caribbean Graduate School of Theology, and the dean at that time, Dr. John Keane, had studied there. Armed with the transformation plan God had revealed to me, I went to see him. After a discussion, I applied to BGU and was accepted into the doctoral program in April 2015. I chose the Doctor of Transformational Leadership with a focus on entrepreneurial organizational transformation. Later in 2019, I changed my emphasis to cultural transformation. I was drawn to the school because of its integration of theology and business. That same year, God instructed me to leave the missions agency, Operation Mobilization, where I'd worked for 4 years. The instruction was to pursue writing and speaking as tools to transform lives. Part of that revelation was that what God had called me to do was not location specific or tied to geography. I would work from anywhere. I did not fully understand that then, but with the growth of online work and the internet, it became clearer in the years that followed. At first, I did not want to leave OM because I had finally settled into my role. Then came heartbreak, rejection. It was a major life crisis. I had looked forward to marriage and continuing cross-cultural mission work with my husband. That dream was shattered. I had no financial security, and I was being pulled in a new direction after depleting my savings in pursuit of migration and overseas study. With financial insecurity and a broken heart, I could not begin my doctoral program in 2015. Yet beyond the heartbreak, God was laying foundations for what I would later study and for the solution to my financial challenges. He was helping me to build a business for transformation, one of my life goals. I also desired to work from home, and writing and publishing aligned perfectly with that desire. In 2014, God gave me a success plan for my future, which I call my design to win. I still follow it today. In it were the name and purpose of my business, which I registered in January 2015 as Extra Mile Innovators or Extra Mile Initiatives. The name carries deep significance. After my broken engagement, I was so hurt that, like Elijah, I asked God to take my life. I felt there was no reason to continue living. The wind had been sucked out of my sails. I felt shipwrecked. But it was the death of one dream and the birth of divine design. When God denied my request, I again received a clear promise and instruction. I am giving you extra time, more time than you wanted, to go the extra mile. That is how Extra Mile Innovators Limited, now trading as BambuSparks, was birthed. The symbol of the company was the Chinese bamboo. Based on the story associated with it, it remains underground for 5 years, and then in the fifth year, within 6 weeks, it grows up to 90 feet tall. That symbol reflects my journey. Success is not overnight, but if you stay the course, you will see fruit. When I registered the business, the description included personal development services and book publishing. The plan was to use books as tools for transformation. In that same year, I wrote my first book, Heartache Queen Unshackled, prompted by God not to waste my pain. One morning in prayer, I remembered a quote from a book I read as a child by British theologian William Barclay. Endurance is not just the ability to bear a hard thing, but to turn it into glory. That was when God revealed that writing was my way of turning heartbreak into glory. Disclaimer: you may have heard parts of this story in my previous books. Before completing my doctorate, I had already written and published 40 books, sharing my journey along the way. But only now I'm connecting the doctoral dots. As Steve Jobs said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. Now back to the story of redirection and rebuilding. My first book was published in January 2015. The publishing process and the challenges I encountered shaped my business and became the foundation for my doctoral research. That was my official entry into authorpreneurship, though I did not know it yet. With no fixed income, I believed the book would solve my financial situation. I imagined selling 5,000 copies quickly, becoming a millionaire, paying off my debts, and flourishing financially. I had racked up a debt of 1 million Jamaican dollars, US 10,000 at the time, pursuing this dream. Alas, 9 months into the journey, I had to take a part-time job. Another instruction from God had been not to take a traditional 9 to 5 job. It sounds crazy, right? I had to turn down job offers, including a teaching position at Campion College, a prestigious high school in Jamaica. Yet these situations were seeds for my doctorate. I had launched an author business and quickly learned that book sales alone, as an independent author, were not enough to make a living. That realization shaped my dissertation's premise. Fast forward to 2018, God instructed me to leave my part-time job. After seeking counsel and investing in entrepreneurship coaching, I wrote a fourth book and launched my Design to Win Academy. I would no longer solely depend on book sales. With this shift, I began diversifying my income sources. The foundation for further study was being built. I was developing strategies for authorpreneurship, strategies that would later become the focus of my dissertation and a calling to marketplace ministry. By October 2018, I was struggling financially again. Paying bills became increasingly difficult. I was selling books and offering personal development coaching, but it was not sustainable. I also resisted offering publishing services, despite repeated requests from aspiring authors. As the financial strain intensified, I could hardly feed myself. I sensed God saying I was leaving money on the table and should offer publishing services. Reluctantly, I posted an offer on social media. Within 30 minutes, someone requested my services. That was the moment I realized obedience creates acceleration and faith doesn't eliminate business sense, it sharpens it. Another instruction followed. Start a Facebook group called Indie Authorpreneurs. I had no idea what authorpreneurship meant, and I had to Google it. Still, in October 2018, I obeyed. The group became a key component of my success and later an initiative connected to my doctoral research. In November 2018, I hosted a 30-day writing challenge in the group. That challenge gave birth to the first edition of Authorpreneur Secrets, which became a financial game changer. Then came what felt like the grand finale of that season. God instructed me to begin my doctoral classes in 2019. I thought, this is crazy. How will I fund my studies? The assurance came, your books will fund it. As usual, I obeyed. To my surprise, the school informed me that I was eligible for a 50% scholarship because I lived in Jamaica. That right there is divine providence. It was confirmation that provision follows assignment. This figure, however, was later adjusted to 30%, but God made up the difference through 2 unsolicited grants from the school and several unsolicited sponsorships. In the end, 50% of my tuition was covered by my books and book-related initiatives. God kept his promise. I lived in the land, I fed on the truth of his word, and he sustained me for 12 years. My tuition was approximately 25,000, about 4 million Jamaican dollars. God funded what he authored. With the foundations finally set, it was time for reformation and personal transformation on this journey of repositioning for greater work and impact. The years 2014 to 2018 were about redirection and building foundations to flourish. The next phase, 2019 to 2024, would be about reformation and personal transformation. It was the making of a transformational leader. Major lessons learned. 1. Crises are the seeds of transformation. Life's deepest setbacks often become the starting point for the growth, clarity, and purpose that reshape our future. 2. Delays are seasons of development. What appears to be a setback in timing is often a period where God prepares the skills, character, and foundations needed for the next stage. 3. Calling often begins in collapse. Many life callings emerge from moments when our original plans fall apart, revealing a deeper divine purpose. Now, if you want to know what are the other 9 lessons I learned on the journey and how I interpreted the rest of the journey, you need to get the book From Calling to Completion by C. Ruth Taylor. It is on pre-order on Amazon right now for $2.99. That's the ebook. And it will be released on May 9, my birthday, in which I'm going to have a celebration from calling to completion. And if you purchase 12 books, you will get access to a free Authorpreneurship Bootcamp online, date to be announced, where I'll share my Authorpreneur Secrets Blueprint and help you to put a plan together. If you already have a published book, how you can build a business around your book. Now, coming out of the dissertation, and I'm going to share the findings briefly through a video and just a little summary, is the Authorpreneur Secrets Blueprint. And you can now get the Authorpreneur Secrets Blueprint as my new lead magnet and join my mailing list on authorpreneursecrets.com. Or you could go to authorpreneursecrets.com/blueprint and download it. All right, so my dissertation topic was exploring authorpreneurship as a viable model for sustainable income through microfinancing, a case study. And essentially, I was studying my own authorpreneur initiatives over a 6-year period, 2018 to 2024. And there were 6 of them, the top 6 authorpreneur initiatives. And that included the Caribbean Authorpreneur Summit, the Authorpreneur Secrets Academy, my publishing business certification program that included my annual birthday book and business launch celebrations, the Indie Authorpreneurs Facebook group. What am I missing here? And offering publishing services. And if I miss out any in the Authorpreneur Secrets Blueprint that you can download for free, it is right there. And this is a research-based model of learning how to turn your books into a business card. So the findings showed that, or confirmed, authorpreneurship as a viable model for sustainable income, and that microfinancing is useful when applied formally and informally. And I did both for some of the initiatives, not all. 2 primary models emerged, the Book Sales Plus model and a hybrid model. I'm calling that my AXE model, in which you use the book plus proven online business models, and you use the book as a business card or a transformational guide to create income. So 93% of the authors in the study were not earning sustainable income from their books. And these were Jamaican authors. Most of the authors in the study, however, were loan averse. So the study showed that there was a critical financing gap And this was from the Jamaica Cultural and Creative Industries Survey Report in 2025 with 578 creatives. And I participated in that study. It showed that 88% of the creatives said that they needed financing and that the creative industry in Jamaica contributes to 3.67% of GDP, which makes Jamaica one of the largest creator economies in the world. Um, so creatives need financing, authors need financing, but they're still classified as unbankable. And fund managers, banks, even the microfinance providers are reticent. They don't want to really lend to them. And the conditions for borrowing make it difficult for entrepreneurs and creatives to access financing. And so a more community financing approach, would be needed. And there are other things. I'm not going to use this episode to say all of them, but I'm just going to do a 3-minute summary, and this video will capture it.
You know, relying on book sales alone, it's tough. For most, it's just not enough for a real career. So this study followed one author's 6-year transformation from total struggle to a system that actually works. And this is the absolute core idea. Your book isn't the end, it's the beginning of a real business. So how does this actually make you money faster than just selling books? Let's break it down. First up, the currency advantage. Earning in dollars or pounds can seriously boost your income's local value. Second, you get way more income streams. We're talking coaching, courses, stuff that pays you again and again. You can see the shift here. Suddenly, book sales are just one small piece of a much bigger pie. And here's the bottom line. Hitting a sustainable income, say $500 to $2,000 a month, happens way, way faster. But this isn't just one person's lucky break. The entire journey was mapped into a blueprint for anyone. The research doesn't just point out the problem, it gives us a clear step-by-step framework you can actually use. It's called ACTS. So here's how it breaks down. A is for asset. Your book, your story, your knowledge. That's your core asset. C is for card. You use that book like a business card to build authority and open doors. T is for transformation. This is where you create something transformational, like a coaching program or an online course that helps people actually apply what's in your book. And finally, S is for sustain. That's how you create recurring revenue that is so much more reliable than just waiting for book sales to trickle in. Your book's journey changes. It goes from just being a book to being your business card, to being the engine for a whole transformational program. It's not the destination anymore, it's the launch pad. And you know, the impact of this model goes way beyond just one person's bank account. It actually creates this powerful ripple effect that can change an entire community. The research breaks this down into 5 key areas of transformation. I mean, yeah, of course, there's the economic impact, but it also helps the author grow personally. It helps preserve local culture by getting unique stories out there. It sparks real innovation in the publishing industry, and it creates a huge positive social impact by empowering people to build their own sustainable careers. And this isn't just about helping one person succeed. This whole Authorpreneur model connects directly with some really big national and global goals. We're talking about supporting Jamaica's own Vision 2030 development plan. And it even addresses key UN Sustainable Development Goals, like no poverty, quality education, and decent work and economic growth.
I use Google Notebook LM to help me with creating the 2 videos that I use in my dissertation defense. And I love Google Notebook LM. I was able to input my findings, and it created these lovely slide decks for me that I used to put together my PowerPoint. And this was one of the audios that was created. All right, so now that I am Dr. Taylor, what's next? The mission 10,000 entrepreneurs by 2030 continues. I've been contemplating whether I should continue to just restrict that to Caribbean entrepreneurs, And I'm still contemplating that, because that would have been Caribbean people both within and outside the diaspora. Because the model that I used, even though I was studying Jamaicans, are international business models. I used Ally's business model for authors to serve as benchmark. And I want to thank the Alliance of Independent Authors. Their 2023 author survey, Big Data Drop, played a crucial role in my literature review. Kingston Creatives, thank you for that survey. That really helped. So these are models that are being used internationally. And so my focus really, even though this podcast is very Caribbean centric, my mission focus in terms of area for reach is really the Caribbean, Latin America, Africa, and Asia, even though I do stuff in North America. But this is my core Carla mission, which I had in my plan from 2014. I want to encourage more authors to explore authorpreneurship. So I'm sure there are over 1,000 authors that I could help to train and partner with entities, publishers, to introduce them to authorpreneurship. I am going to have an authorpreneurship accelerator using the course that was developed last year to teach it and then encourage the authors to create at least one profitable transformational program around your book to earn at least $1,000 to challenge you to do that. Take on the Authorpreneur Challenge, turn your book into a profitable business or program and earn at least $1,000. Experiment with it beyond book sales. So I'm thinking of that. And then the Rockstars now would be featured in the 2030 coffee table book that I'm going to be working on. And I plan to invite them on the podcast to share their stories. And then we'll have the grand gala in 2030. I plan to do a church and community based transformation initiative or pilot using the ACTS model at a church in Spanish Town. That's the Fairview Open Bible Church. That's my church. A 1 year pilot. And so I want to help those who have a creative bent to use books as an asset and as a tool for socioeconomic development. And I plan to partner with others, creative entities, to really advance and help creatives to make sustainable income. Of course, my focus primarily is doing that through authorship. So that's what the immediate plans look like. I know I'm about to get busy and busier. And I'm open to coming upon invitation to sharing these findings, to share the Authorpreneur blueprint. And that's the mission. So the dissertation, confirmed that what I've been doing is good, because it's 12 years and there were times on the journey when I felt like this was crazy, right? But Steve Jobs says, here's to the crazy one. The misfits. In essence, we're the ones who changed the world. But it's good that this thing has been academically validated. And now I have a blueprint that I can use to train and raise up more author entrepreneurs so that more authors can make a living with their writing and earn sustainable income beyond book sales, like I have been doing. I can truly say, to God be the glory. Backy Graduate University is a Christian school, and I'm a Christian. And I think I've been talking long enough. That's a wrap. I'm grateful for all those who participated in the study, the Jamaican authors, the microfinance providers. Again, thanks to Ally, Joanna Penn, I was able to reference her work. And, in the Authorpreneurs Facebook group. Thank you so much. Small group, but powerful impact. The members of the Authorpreneur Secrets Academy who participated in the focus group discussions. Thank you. All my clients over the years. Thank you. My family, friends, church. Thank you. Everyone who supported me. My personal learning committee, you know yourselves. This book is dedicated to you. And so thank you so much. And I'll close today's episode with part of the opening poem. If you are in the middle of a struggle, hear me clearly. Do not quit. That is if you know that this thing is your calling, right? Do not quit. Repackage, refine, reposition. Lean on God, lean on community. Submit to the process. Guard your attitude. Purpose will give you power to endure. Run your race with endurance. Turn hardship into glory. Stay the course long enough to emerge, because completion is not for the gifted, it is for the faithful. And if you remain faithful, you will emerge. The calling that began the journey is the calling that carries you through it, from calling to completion. This is Dr. Ruth Taylor signing off for this episode. Remember, of making many books, there is no end. Go pen it to win it and dominate entrepreneurship. Ta for now, until next time.